Justice Show, live right now on the CW58.
822 751-1041 is the phone number. If you want to email, justice at 1041thetruth.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Another story about Steve Kozachik's Ward 6 roast. You know, look, and I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again. Okay, even apart from the Rhino, he's no longer, supporting the Pima County GOP, needs to change his party affiliation. You can join the group. We're now at, with Michael's request, we are now at, I believe, 216 people have now joined the group to support the Steve Kozachik public intervention of convincing him to change his party affiliation. Apart from all of this whole event, this town hall roast, it's just what a mess of an event. It's not. Who's getting roasted? It's like Fitz is going to be there to roast all the attendees. What? Yeah. Anyway, what was supposed to be a lighthearted bipartisan event to bring the community together has turned into a gathering surrounded by controversy. Billed as the Ward 6 roast. Oh, it's getting roasted, all right. Scheduled to take place on Monday at the Loft Cinema. City Councilman Steve Kozachik can't even get respect from this news story because they spelled his name wrong. It's Kazachik. It's Koza. At least I got that right on his public intervention page. Invited all elected officials in Ward 6 to participate, including Barber and Grijalva. Daily Star cartoonist Fitzsimmons was tapped to MC the event to provide good-natured ribbing. A great forum for the public and the elected to bond. No. Let me put it this way. What GOP function would Steve Kozachik be invited to and warmly welcomed to anymore? Let's just go that route. Is there any GOP event that Steve would A, attend, or B, even be welcome to anymore? Look, 216 people already in, 2.5 hours on a Facebook page have already, I mean, it's a variable who's who as well of individuals who support this because they all know what a sham this is. I haven't seen one person go and say, stop giving Steve a hard time. There are plenty of liberals listening and watching the show. I haven't heard one person go, or I should say Republican, go and say, I need to stop giving. Everyone agrees. He needs to change his party affiliation. The rumbling started when it was pointed out that the event only involved 2 Republicans. The rumbling started when it was pointed out the supposed bipartisan panel contained only 2 Republicans. Boy, what a horrible writing. They've repeated themselves. I don't want to say. It wasn't us. I know. Anyway, Steve K says the critics opened the floodgates after he talked about guns. Coming out and even raising the issue of firearms has just elicited a visceral reaction from people who consider the discussion of firearms to be tantamount to the desecration of some religious icon. No, man, the problem here has nothing to do with that. The problem is you did it. He can't seem to get that through his thin skin, and I mean that on both levels. He needs to eat some burgers, for crying out loud. No, it's all about who did this. It was Steve. If this had been proposed by the mayor or Ulick or Fimbres or Scott or Cunningham or Romero, nobody would have been surprised. It's because he did this. He doesn't even understand that. Most of the criticism seems to come from gun advocates. NRA board member Todd Rathner says his organization is not encouraging any members to crash this event. We do not encourage them to go to this particular meeting. We don't know anything about the meeting, and frankly, we don't care about the meeting. Steve K just refuses to acknowledge where he's really frustrated. He won't acknowledge the fact that we started it on this show and have been giving him a hard time since. I think he's afraid of all that audio that I have of him years past when he used to talk like a Republican. Boy, it'd be really unfortunate if he did change his party affiliation, tried to run again, and then I could pull all that old audio that I used to have when he talked so poorly about the rest of the city council members over and over and over again, Karen Ulick included. I've got some gems in that regard. If gun owners want to exercise their First Amendment right in order to protect the Second Amendment the right, then more power to them. To discourage any disruptions, there will now be no open microphone at the event. Written questions must now be submitted. Bags will be checked at the door. No guns will be allowed in the theater. Look, let's focus on the matter and zero in on the problem. The event is billed as a lie. The reason it's a lie is because the person spearheading it is living a lie. This is what happens when you start off with a bad premise. Everything that sprouts from that ends up being tainted. It's a lot like somebody who comes into the country illegally. Every move that they make from there on out is weighted down by the fact that they're here in the country illegally. And this is exactly the case in point with this. You have a person who is delusional in thinking that they should still be a part of the GOP, or they're fully aware of it and are using it to their advantage because they're supporting Democrats. Either way, the premise of it being bipartisan is a lie. It's no longer a town hall anymore because of his fear of disruption. Look, he no longer supports the party he belongs to, which is why we have decided to start this intervention. You can go by the website, 1041thetruth.com, and the John Justice Show page, and there you can hit the link where you can go and support in this endeavor. Now, coming up in just a moment, I will bring back an oldie but a goodie for those that have been listening long enough to the show.
I like turtles.
There was a segment that we used to do on the show that related to another city council member, and I'm very pleased to say that Steve Kozachik will be inheriting this segment coming up. I do want to mention, though, that Steve has announced the date and time and location for the gun buyback program. Now, again, I want to stress that he even said by his own words, which we'll find out, that this is intended to be used by people who are simply uncomfortable having a gun in their home. There's no need for hype that's been offered up by the press, right? As if to say this isn't narrative driven or driven by political aspirations of getting reelected, except for the fact that he chose Tuesday, which I don't know if you put two and two together, but Tuesday is January 8th. So his gun buyback program is taking place on the anniversary of Congresswoman Gifford's shooting at the Safeway, who, by the way, supports the gun back. Did anybody else see this? Which is the problem with it? It's awesome that this is a publicly funded program. That's great. It's great that no taxpayer money is going to fund it. But let's call out the stupid and let's expose the truth in this matter. This is a political stunt that's going to accomplish nothing to contribute to the safety of the community at large when we have much bigger issues to deal with. More of the John Justice Show coming up on 104.1 The Truth.